Hey guys, before this video gets rolling, I'm just gonna pop in to give you a wind warning again. Because typical Southern Idaho pulled its typical Southern Idaho thing, much like the rest of the country is pulling its typical windy weather thing, and it's gonna be windy, so enjoy! Alright guys, welcome back to Ag with Emma. Today we are on a dairy in Southern Idaho, and this is a family owned and operated dairy. And we're gonna have some fun learning from Joey. I kind of grew up knowing Joey, so this is going to be a fun video. So, do you have anything to say about basic?
Milk comes from cows, not the store. There you go.
That's basic. That's all you need to know. So if
Yep.
you didn't know that already, now you do. And you can watch the rest of this video to find out how. So we're going to start at the beginning here because, not the beginning, you know, they have to buy cows to milk the cows, but they breed the cows and have baby cows. So we're going to show you the calves and then what they do with them. So here's all the cute little babies.
So these are the newborn calves. So these calves are just a couple days old. They got a whole gallon of colostrum when they were born. And we bring them in here just because it protects them from the elements for about a week. Once they're about a week old, they go out to the other calf hutches. That lets us kind of keep an eye on them a little closer. But as soon as they're born, they get that big amount of colostrum so that they get their antibodies up, so that hopefully their longevity of life is up all the way up to adulthood. If they don't get that, their likelihood of viability to adulthood is like 25%. So we really need adult cows if we're gonna get milk. So as soon as they come in here, they get their name, which this one's name is 1447, and they get vaccinated. We mark our calves that get vaccinated with a little hole in their tag. It's hard to see, but that's how we know that calf got its vaccinations to prevent pneumonia and other diseases.
So when you vaccinate cattle, it's like vaccinating yourself. It's not putting medicine in it that's going to make you sick, because by the time any product that's from an animal gets to the store, it's already free of all that stuff. So it's just. And
like that is also another misconception of milk. Mm-hmm. Lots of milk products will say antibiotic free. All milk products are antibiotic free. There's no milk product that can have antibiotics in it. So every single tank that leaves our farm gets tested for antibiotics. And so if they have that label on that, you can be assured that any label that doesn't have that on it is also antibiotic free.
Yes. Any animal products, especially dairy, nothing in them. So it's good. And then after the cows, okay, we'll go through the process. So like after they're a week old, they get moved out to these little sheds. How long do they stay in those sheds?
They stay in these sheds till they're about 2.5 months old. And that's when they get moved over here to our wean pen, where they just get a high-calorie protein pellet, as well as hay, and obviously free water as much as they want to drink. Once they get moved to this next pen, it's just kind of a transition for age. Once they are about 7 months, we move them right over here. And that's where they just continue to grow. Once they reach about a year, they get moved into our breeding pen. So that's when we can breed new heifers, and that's on their way to adulthood. So a heifer or a cow's gestation is just like humans, 9 months. So it goes from conception to having a calf that we just saw in 9 months. And we actually push our breedings out a little bit because we like our heifers to be a little bit more mature when they calve for the first time. So basically, the whole time a cow is on a dairy, it's not being milked the whole time, and they take, the necessary steps, precautions, or just basically following the cycles of life to ensure that their cows can produce healthy babies and produce milk efficiently. This is one of our milking strings. All of these cows go in twice a day to get milked. They produce anywhere from 70 to 120 pounds of milk, which are every gallon of milk is about 8 pounds. so you can kind of do that calculation. You can get a good 10 gallons out of a cow. But obviously all of our milk actually goes to Glambia and gets made into cheese. We're in the process of starting our own processing creamery, and so we're going to start making our own cream and milk and butter and cheese, and so we're excited for that endeavor here in a couple months.
All right, then a little bit more on gestation periods, because that always seems to be something that is confused because no one understands basic cycles of life anymore. We're gonna have Joey tell you a little bit more about that too.
Okay, so these cows right here that we're seeing in front of us, they all calved at various periods. There's probably about 30 in this pen of 90 that are pregnant. The rest of them aren't pregnant yet. What they do after they calve, they go into a ramping period where they go from not producing a lot of colostrum, and over the first 90 days, that production amount goes up. Normally peaks about 100 days, but during that time, we don't breed back. They have heats, so if a bull was with them, they would actually get pregnant. But we like to wait so that cow can actually build to its lactation potential. And so we wait to breed them until they're about 70 to 80 days after they had their calf. And so after they have their calf, we'll wait that period and then we'll breed them. Hopefully, the hope is always that they get pregnant on that first service. Here we do most of our breeding with artificial insemination. And so we select our bulls out of a magazine based on the traits that we want in our herds. So you can take a bull that has really, really strong fat and protein content, the genetics of that, and put it in a cow that maybe doesn't have quite the genetics that would give you the high fat and protein that you want, and you can cross those, and so you build a better herd the longer you select the bulls and the traits that you want. Once a cow is pregnant, they continue to milk until about 60 days before they're going to have the calf, and then they go on vacation. So the last 60 days of the gestation period, they get to just relax. They eat and lay around all day until their due date. So for the first 45 days of that, we call it a dry period because they're not milking. They just lay around and eat and continue to get fat and get ready to take care of that calf. And then about 2 weeks before they calve, they get moved into another pen that we call the close-up pen, and that's so we can really, really keep an eye on the cows that are getting ready to deliver their babies. And we do that just because their nutrition requirements change, and so we'll give them higher vitamins and calcium, because that's when they calve, that the pull of calcium out of their body is really, really high, and so we want to build the cow system for that event of calving.
So you just saw them loading the feed into the feed mixer. What do you guys call that?
We call it the feed mixer.
The feed mixer, okay.
Yep.
Because I was in Minnesota and he called it an auger buggy or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, we normally would just call it the mixer.
Yeah.
This is essentially the kitchen for the cows. So we've got lots of different ingredients here. We've got some belled alfalfa, we've got corn silage, we've got a high protein mineral mix, we've got flake corn. Cows love sweet things, so we've got liquid molasses that we put in the ration. And then we put some just plain water just to moisten the ration up, because cows, it makes it a little bit more palatable, flavorful, I guess. All the flavors mix. Something that we do, because what goes in has to come out in some form, okay? In cows, it's either manure or it's milk. And so depending on what goes in will depend on what comes out. So we feed our cows really, really high quality feed so that we get those high protein and fat levels in the milk. We have a nutritionist that we work with that he comes out and he analyzes all the feed and figures out what the nutrient content is in each feed, and then he formulates a ration that will give us, I guess, the biggest bang for our buck for what we're feeding the cows and what we're going to get out.
There you go.
So
Yeah,
go ahead.
you can see there's the hay in there and then the corn. What else is in there?
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah, you got the hay, and then you've got, here's cottonseed.
Oh, wow.
Cows love cottonseed. Okay. You can see some of the, that's just a piece of cottonseed. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but
It's pretty good.
the small little specks in there, those are the mineral. We can go look at just the mineral pack that they get. When you mix it all together, it gets a lot harder to see. So this is part of corn silage that you're seeing there, and that's the hay, and then the tiny little specks in there, that's going to be just more vitamins and minerals, but it's a little more difficult to see. The hay and the corn silage is kind of the carrier for those.
Helps it all stick together.
Yep.
And they just eat it right out of these bugs. So, come in the headlock.
Close up of that jersey.
And they can come in and out of the headlocks as they want to, like they just did. So now we're just gonna explain what goes in inside the barn before I show you milking, because there's a lot of bits and pieces inside that make it all come together and make sense.
So we call this the milk house. So after we harvest the milk, this is where the milk comes. So after it leaves the cows, which you'll see a little bit later, it goes through what you see at the end of the room, a plate cooler. So about 30 seconds after it comes out of the cow at 101 degrees, cow's temperatures are 101 degrees, so it's a little bit different than people. We're 98.6. So it's a little bit warmer, but about 30 seconds after it comes out of the cows, it's cooled down to about 38 degrees. And that's because it goes through that plate cooler, and then it drops into these tanks that also maintains that temperature. All the milk that leaves the dairy has to stay at that cold temperature. The reason for that is because we all know that warm milk spoils, and so we've got to keep that milk cold so that if there is any bacteria in there, that it doesn't continue to grow and make the milk go bad. So any milk that is 45 degrees or higher gets dumped. So everything has to stay at that cold, nice refrigerated temperatures. Ours stays right about that 40 degrees constantly.
Okay, and then we come out of the milk house, and we've got the parlor. We'll show you what's up in here too.
This is where the milk is harvested. Okay, this is what we call a claw. So it's got 4 tubes, goes to each teat. When we're milking, it has a pulsator on it too, so that as the vacuum is pulling that milk from the cow, it squeezes as well. So you think old-fashioned people sat down and they squeeze and pulled. Well, these do the same thing. So from a cow coming in to a cow leaving, it takes about 10 minutes. So we milk 10 cows at a time on this side and 10 on this side. So about 10-15 minutes we can milk 20 cows, and so it kind of moves them through pretty quick. The goal in a dairy is for a cow to either be eating, sleeping, or milking, and so we try to keep most of their time, so about 99% of their time is spent eating and sleeping. The rest of their time is spent in here at the barn, and we try to keep that as short as possible, but that's where all the effort that goes into cows, that's where it gets harvested, is right here in this parlor.
Then up here, that's cool.
So, yeah, these are automatic takeoffs. So we don't want to over milk a cow and we don't want to under milk a cow. So in these little cups right here, there's a sensor. So once there's no more milk flow, the machine senses that and says, okay, she's done milking, and it automatically shuts off the vacuum, and then it pulls the milker off. And as when we get cows in here, we'll kind of go through the process of milking and why we do some of the things that we do. This right here is our calf milk pasteurizer. So we, any cows that might be recently fresh or they might have mastitis, we don't like to throw that milk away because most of the milk is still good. So we'll save that milk and we put it in here and we pasteurize it so that we kill any bacteria, and that is our calf milk. That's what we raise our calves on. And so to pasteurize it, we have to heat it up to 145 degrees and maintain that temperature for 30 minutes. And then it cools it back down to 110 degrees, and that's what we feed the milk, the calves twice a day. We're just gonna feed some calves.
Feed some calves.
Calves get fed about 4:30 in the morning by my boys because we're a family farm. So they get up about 4:30 and come up and feed about, we got about 60 baby calves that we feed morning and night. So.
And that's year round, right? Basically?
Yep, that's pretty much year round. So you can see here we've got two different sizes of bottles. The bigger bottles are for the older calves, just because they're starting to grow more, so they need a little bit more nutrition, so we give them the bigger bottles, and then the younger calves get the smaller ones.
So now that we've showed you all that, we're going to show you what it looks like to actually milk the cows in the parlor, and hope you guys enjoy. So what you see here is a peroxide-based solution that has air injected into it that helps clean off the teat so that they're able to have a clean teat for milking. You can see that she wipes that off after it cleans, and then she's turning on that pump system to put the claw on the udder. And then, like Joey said, that claw is going to automatically kick off when the flow slows down to the point that it needs to. And then they apply iodine to the teats to help prevent infection and continue to keep it clean. And after they're done milking, they get let out and they eat, drink, and sleep until the next milking. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to catch me on all your other platforms at Ag with Emma everywhere, and remember to like, share, subscribe. As always, hasta la pasta.